You might have had it upside down.
There we go. Sorry, give my Zoom a chance to update.
It's blue, which tells me that that's a good thing usually.
Okay, do you see it now? Yay. You're experiencing after
Yeah, I have to show myself all.
Can you hear anything? Okay. All right. Susan, are you muted?
I haven't joined audio. More continue without audio. Continue. It goes off. Okay, my sound is off. Oh, it's still echoing? Okay.
I think we're ready.
Ready?
I think so.
Okay. Go ahead. Sandy, you want to lead us in the flag?
Sure.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Approval of the consent agenda.
I would have you approve the consent agenda as presented in our packet.
I'll second. Okay, then we can second to approve the consent agenda. I see that Mark Newcomb resigned, is that?
He was going to sell his house this spring and got an offer he couldn't refuse about a month ago, sold the house, and owned a place in Central Oregon for the last 4 or 5 years, and so they are relocating.
So what does that do with our food service?
We're in process, we've advertised, we're going to interview for hire, hopefully if not tomorrow, or it is tomorrow. Then, the other thing we're gonna do is set up, what's the word I'm looking for, kind of an as-needed contract with him that will allow us to call on Zoom for hours as opposed to an FTE commitment. So as we get into more of the reports and things like that, if we have specific questions and as we train someone new also, that we can call on him from a distance.
Okay.
So that's where we are right now. It was a surprise to everybody, including him.
Yeah. Yeah, to get an offer like that. Then I also see that we got alumni coming back to help coach.
Yep.
Good.
They had been working before, right? I know Troy, Troy,
Trey,
Troy.
spelled wrong.
it's Trey.
It's Trey, Truy,
Yeah.
He's like, I know Trey's coached before, I I like it too.
Oh, yeah, Blake, well, I don't know if Blake.
Yeah, Blake has done,
Okay. Well, it's still nice to see the alumni.
Yep, it is.
So, okay, all those in favor? Motion passes 5-0. Thank you. Now, request for agenda modifications. And I don't see anything that we really need to mark, is there?
I have a concern that we don't have the city here.
Well, I know, that, what I know is the city wasn't here.
Because I've been in communication with Chris,
Yeah,
and I hadn't heard from him again today when I emailed him, but he had said that there was work being done, so that could be one of them
yeah,
that we may have to postpone.
well, it's,
We don't have the maps and things and
we don't have the map, but they want to proceed in a expedient manner, and then I don't see them. So I mean, that's kind of concerning to me as far as, you know, they want to get it done, but where are they?
Yeah.
Hopefully they'll show up here in a few minutes.
Michael.
Do you have any update from the last meeting on what they?
No,
Yeah, because he was prepared to come with the,
with the map.
with the maps, but also with the language for,
For the easements.
the easement requests and things like that, so.
Yeah, so, I don't know what the program is on that. Okay, well, I guess we'll deal with that when we get to it.
All right.
Student government report,
So at the high school, we started a new trimester last week. And winter sports have just been started for a little while. JV basketball has already had 2 home games. And varsity has a tournament this weekend that is starting tomorrow. Wrestling's also had a home week already. So. The drama program put on a production of UC's a few weeks ago. That was good. That did 4 shows. So they had a lot of people in attendance for that. And ASB hosted a holiday spirit week this week, since it's the last week before Christmas break. So they're having an event right now at the high school, and they had an assembly earlier today.
thank you. Any questions? Okay.
Can I just say really quick, I went to the play. It was so good, you guys. I took my grandson to the matinee one on a Saturday afternoon. The kids did a really good job. That was very nice of them. So I hope a lot of people got to see it because it was great.
Okay. Public comment, I don't have any green card for you. Okay. Reports, PEA report.
So yes, Dave's not here tonight because ASB is having an event. They're running Home Alone and doing an early starter contest and having some new games and stuff with students. So typically I make him speak because he is the public speaker of the 2 of us. So I don't have much to report. We just have a few issues that we've been working with Susan on and meeting with her tomorrow, but that's about it. Yeah.
We'll be in your house tomorrow.
Yep.
All right, thank you. Superintendent report.
When your computer updates, you gotta wait to get everything to show up.
Well, wait, I have a question, I'm gonna bring this up. We've got these plays at elementary school. How do we go about getting a couple more speakers, like Bluetooth speakers or something to hear in there? So I don't know if like the school, like as a high school, I don't know anything about electronics, but it should be, I would think, pretty easy to get a couple Bluetooth speakers to put more in there. Because there's 2 little speakers on the rolling tables they put up there, but unless you're in the front row, you can't hear the kids.
Okay.
They have some bigger speakers that aren't terribly efficient. Some of it is microphone and distance from microphone. And then the remainder of it in terms of speakers is all about money to be able to do it and things like that. But I don't know what the status of the bigger speakers is at this point, but I can certainly check into it.
And also wonder if that, Performing Arts Fund, they have money that they could apply for. their sound system and their virtual coverage.
Has the elementary school ever put on anything at the high school, in the high school auditorium? No, the middle school has.
Not as far as a play, they've done concerts over there, but they've not done, any kind of play, over at the high school. Middle school does it because it's an easy walk over after school.
Yeah, I know scheduling is an issue, logistics, but I'm just curious.
Yeah. All right. Can you give me rights to share, please, Richard?
Well, and then I'll just mention while we're still rolling, that we have rolled straight into middle school play season, and they're doing Matilda Junior musical. And it's gonna be fantastic, and first day of rehearsal is tomorrow, so, yeah, they don't really take much of a break. The audition started on Monday and went really well from what I hear. The middle school is awesome.
Yeah.
Well, I'm just gonna start going,
I made you the co-host.
oh, now I've got it. Thank you. Now, couple of things for us. One of them was, since we last met, the notion of a distinguished guest. Anita Archer is an educational consultant around the country and has been for years. Provides professional learning support, has written a number of books, all kinds of things like that. Quite well known, and quite well known in response to instruction and intervention circles. PES had her in their presence all day, one day. And she came and sat with students and observed groups with students. We use, as one of the interventions for some of our students in the elementary RTII program, we use one of her intervention materials. And so she was watching about the implementation and how things are done. Just took notes on groups, talked with kids, autographed books for them if they wanted it. And I didn't get a chance to get over during the day, but I met her when she was coming out the door at the end of the day with Molly Bell and Robert Blackman and our RTII specialist from Oregon RTII. And she just raved about what she saw, the goodness of flawless implementation, what was happening. She actually looked at Robert Blackman and she said, "We don't have very many men in our videos. I'm gonna remember this." So, it just, it was really nice for somebody of that level of expertise and authority to come, not necessarily to speak, but to be a listener and observer and a feedback giver, and be able to spend the day with us. So, truly a gift, and I don't think it's the last time that we have heard from her. Molly Bell and Robert Blackman at the elementary school really did the coordination and the leadership of being able to put it together. But it's kind of the unsung hero of coming to the district, which is great. We continue our work with the Center for Educational Leadership as an administrative group, and that really is more about what do we look at in classrooms when we go, and how do we keep the arrows moving together and provide feedback for folks, but feedback that keeps everybody on their cutting edge. I remember a number of years ago being in a situation where one of the administrators of a school, this was when I was working at the ESP, said, they give me the easy people to, or the long tenured people to supervise and to evaluate because they're so easy. And my comment was au contraire. Those are the people that need the information to be able to stay on their cutting edge. Rather than just being told, you're doing a great job, you're doing a great job, you're doing a great job. And how do we do that? And provide for that, but also give actionable feedback about specifics that are good, as opposed to just saying you're doing a good job. So it's been great. I hadn't been with this group in the time previous when they met. They did observations at that time at the elementary school and the high school, I think. So when I heard the conversations start up the last time we met, when the visitations were at Clemens and at the middle school, the growth and the alignment of our administrators talking across schools, around the district, being able to have common language was really pretty exciting to be able to see that it's moving forward and it's making an impact. So it's been real good, and it's been nice. Last year, the people that participated went to other schools and other districts to be able to observe. This is in our own district with our own people. So it's just nice not to have to weave through the other context of other schools as we need it. So it's been really nice. Every year in December, special education does a census count in the first school day in December, or excuse me, December 1st is the day, and it's about, how many kids and who are being served. And so you kind of have to plant a stake in the ground on that day. So there was a lot of busyness and activities. Thank you to our special educators and our student services staff for making the collection happen. We had one teacher that had an IEP meeting the day before the census count, and finished the paperwork and reporting, and took care of business in that way. So it's kudos to our folks for being able to make that happen. Our legal firm has been Garrett Keeman Robertson, and we've primarily worked with Paul DeCopolis as our longstanding attorney, and he has chosen to join the ranks if we retire. And so we are remaining with it's Garrett Keeman, Robert, is it Robertson? I can't remember, Roberts or Robertson? Robertson. And we're gonna stay with that firm, and we've got connected with two of Paul's colleagues that we've worked with before on other issues. So they're not people who are brand new to us. But it was really nice to be able to acknowledge and thank Paul for the work that he's done for us and for the district. We're going to talk a little bit later tonight about the strategic planning and implementation. We had a meeting with Studer as a company, and there was general information from Studer in the board packet. And we'll talk more about that. Joe and Ryan were a part of a conference call with a representative from Studer and myself to get a little bit of additional information, and I know that they've reached out to the two of you also to be able to share some information, and we'll get into that, but wanted to be able to at least place it in my plan as well. The paper that I gave you tonight for board members, which is really their initial proposal that we can start to negotiate from, should we choose to move forward with them, is not so much for the decision-making this evening, but I wanted you to have what their first cut was to be able to review in light of whatever our decisions are this evening. Early literacy, House Bill 3198 provided early literacy money to districts, even though it is entitled funds, not competitive. We have to write a fund application for it. And the applications are due January 8th. Which was really nice. They opened in December 1st. We're going to send everybody home for winter break, and then they're due January 8th. So it was kind of like, in all that wisdom, people are going to work over winter break to get them done, and nobody's going to be available to answer questions. So we're getting our first cut completed. Abby Couture has taken on the lead for that with Eric Beasley, because the primary emphasis is K3. And so the nice part is we're going to be able to continue to do a number of the things that we've done. We are looking at, their interest is in being able to do some summer experience. They missed out on the early literacy camp for the summer. And so that's a big piece of something they want to do. Just heard the other day as an aside that the conversation is back on the table at the Department of Ed about summer learning money. So, we may have other things within that also, but some good plans, and it will infuse about $95,000 each year for the next two, for the biennium, for the programs that we have. Because we're writing so late and they're putting the program together kind of as it unveils, money carries forward. So we're putting into our plan things that for this year, things that we know we're gonna do already. And if the grant will fund it, great. If it won't, we already know we're doing it and we have funding from another source to be able to make sure it's gonna happen. So, and then we can grow into it as we need to. So more of an update on that in January because we'll have our application complete. The application we will submit, it needs to have school board approval, and we will have submitted before we get the approval. So we're kind of working it backwards, but they knew that in the timeline that would be what a number of districts would have to do. Integrated guidance was another grant project we worked on to meld a bunch of programs last year. And in January, we will provide the final reporting for 22-23 and the first quarter reporting for 23-24 with an opportunity for input and feedback on how things have gone. So, and then the other thing I put in here was really some shout outs, of which there are 900 more that I could put in there. Newsies, as again, echoed as a great performance. Athletic director at the high school, Mike Hood, put together a fall athletic awards night that wasn't independent athletic teams doing their own, which is, has been a tradition for a while, to do their own celebrations of their teams. And so everybody was together, which was kind of a nice deal and a nice setup for being able to represent all the students in the fall sports. Our Special Education Advisory Committee, as was mentioned last month, recognized National Special Education Day, and there was information shared with students and staff. Special Education Advisory Committee team took cookies and things to each of the schools. Really a good day. Dawn Meeker always goes out to, with the Falcon Singers from the elementary school to participate in the fall community tree lighting. They've done that for forever. They love to sing and then they love to meet Santa Claus, who also we appreciate being there. And then we had, just for our arts education, which was something to recognize, especially in light of, it's easy to say as we talk about PE minutes, to be able to blow off art. And this district, we're committed to a multifaceted education, which includes an arts education. And that becomes important. Also at this time of year, because it's concert time, these folks are putting in a lot of extra work to be able to make sure concerts are together. So that's my report, and like I said, there could be 900 more in terms of what we could share for what's happening that's awesome in this district.
Okay, thanks, Susan. Financial report. Jennifer.
Well, all the reports are in the board packet, and as I was writing the report, I realized it still includes 3 years, so that's fun times for us. We got the final audit for 22-23, and so the auditors will be here next month to present that to the board. We have a resolution in the board packet this month to appropriate some additional revenue that we received beyond what was originally budgeted. Those are state forest funds that we budget for every year, but we don't always get. We don't have a prediction from the state ahead of time on what we'll get. And there's not much explanation on how and when it gets divvied out, so it's kind of a surprise each year. And this year we got a significant amount more than what we budgeted for. So you'll see in the resolution that we're gonna use half of it for the Clemens Primary Project, so we don't have to use the Kings Valley Escrow Fund like we had talked about previously, and then the rest will be appropriated in the general fund for instruction services. And then, looking forward to next year, we're gonna start budget meetings in January, and working on estimate of membership and revenue, which includes enrollment predictions for next year as well, and that has to be submitted to the DE by early January also. So 3 years of information all in one letter. Good stuff. And
One other thing we have tonight is talking about naming Philomath News as our newspaper of record, so we can publish legal public notices in the digital newsprint instead of in the most local printed newspaper that we have that doesn't really reach our community anymore. It doesn't have much bandwidth for us. So I consulted with legal counsel, just like the city of Philomath did, they did the same thing, and with the Department of Revenue, because a lot of our legal notices have to do with Oregon budget law, and both said that it was within the guidelines of those laws, so we're gonna ask if the board could discuss and endorse us naming the Philomath News as our newspaper of record. It's not something that we have to have a board action on, we just wanna make sure that it's made public, and the public knows that's where to anticipate seeing those legal notices. So, all I have, unless there's questions.
Okay, thank you, Jennifer. Any questions? All right, moving on to approval of the resolution, 23-2401. Anyone make a motion?
I move that we approve resolution 23-2401 as printed in my packet.
I second that.
Okay, moving second, any discussion? All right, all those in favor? Motion passes 5-0. Thank you. Okay, on the strategy discussion, Downing Forest reforestation plan.
Yeah, I asked Simon Babcock to provide me with information that came in your packet as far as what they're looking at for Downing. And so through the packet, it's seedlings have been donated from Starker Forests. He lists the 5 different types of trees, of species that will be going into the forest. He talks about the industry standard for the spacing and the number of trees per acre, and said most of things will go in this year. They do have the greenhouse that's closest to Stan's building operational, and there's classes that have been planting in there, and so the idea is to take the species from their own greenhouse as things continue to unfold and plant into future years. And so I had asked for just information about what the plan was, and it's nice to be able to put in and kind of what the look and feel will be, so that again it becomes public knowledge that we're not ignoring the forest, and we're going to continue to move forward.
Okay, thank you. It's nice to see that they do have a plan in place. It's nice to see that they're gonna be planting some native trees and shrubs in the future that come out of the greenhouse.
And it's nice it'll be forestry driven, forestry class driven, as opposed to hiring people to come in and plant, or things like that. So
On the forestry plan, I'm assuming Simon's in charge. Who's doing the brush control and everything, like all invasives will come in, others all over, and you've got blackberry thistle, diesel. Is the forestry department gonna handle that?
I would imagine that maintenance would.
it's kind of a combination. There's some of it that the forestry class can do and learn from, but most of that has been to the facilities. And it's from the standpoint, if the students can't do any pesticide or herbicide spraying of any kind, so that all has to be done by facilities. But they know that with the openness, the poison oak's gonna go rampant and all kinds of things like that. And
Because
so
there's enough staff and time they can handle.
facilities are prepared, and if we get into a place where it's gonna be more than manageable, that's when we'll look at, Jennifer talked about, as we're looking at some of our funding, if we get additional funding coming in, we're looking at what are those things that we need to be able to maintain in terms of facilities and space, inclusive of that forest area, to be able to make sure we've got enough bandwidth to take care of it. Great question.
Yeah, but they do have to be licensed to spray most.
Yeah, I just wanna make sure there's a plan for it, because nobody's had to do it for years with the trees out.
Well, yeah, no, I'm sure that they've got a plan, it's just,
That was one of the first things we talked about when everything went down, and inclusive of cross-country, because that was the conversation of, we're gonna have people running through Poison Oak, and, yeah, so,
Do we have any concern about people running through things that have been sprayed with pesticides and herbicides?
they're pretty careful in their timing
Yeah.
of what they do and things like that, and they post it, so it's all labeled and everything else, but yeah, it's,
They also call that like runoff channel, that, and all that would just be.
yeah,
no, that's why they have
Anticipating
to,
things we would hear from other people.
that's why they have to be licensed to apply it, because they have to take that into consideration.
Well, I hope that the botany program is also getting to participate in, like, the replanting of native plants and things like that, because I know they do study that.
right, and they've done some amazing stuff with the other greenhouse that they've had for a long time out there, in really redoing the raised beds completely, to a place where they've just updated things wonderful.
Yeah, that program's really wonderful, so.
Okay. Did you try to get a hold of
I
Chris?
did, and I
Nothing back?
didn't get anything, I didn't have a number, so I couldn't reach out via text to be able to see. I have his phone number.
You say, I probably don't always goes through on that always, but small town stuff.
That's right.
Well, I seen the email and it sounded like they were gonna be here.
I'll send a message.
Yeah, I don't have it.
I've got a cell, I just found it.
Okay. Well, we'll come back to that. We'll go from the discussion and action items, skip number 1, put it back down at the bottom, and we'll go to number 2, the 23-24 academic calendar.
Yeah, you'd think that you'd get a few people on a committee that would put their heads together and be able to make a decision on a 190-day calendar and get it right with everybody counting. Didn't work. What we tried to do in this year was put together, conference day seems to be one of the biggest bugaboos, and it's when elementary versus secondary want to have conferences, and trying to appeal to when one group of students are out of school, all students are out of school. And in that, in our conferences, what in essence we were doing was counting one of those part conference days as a student day and an adult day. And so what it boils down to is we missed one adult day. So we had 189 days in the calendar, and we're missing a teacher day. And so the only change that you will see in this is that the 16th of February, which was a makeup day on the original calendar, will be, and I need to change it because I put it in as a full day. No, it is a full day, it's a full staff day. It's the 16th of February, will become a teacher work day. So we're not looking to add at the end of the year in June. What we did with that was just took the 16th and made that a teacher work day, to be able to make sure we had the 190 days.
So the students just.
Staff.
And I'm assuming that you can contact DEA and that's an agreement.
We had it set up where PEA was gonna make the request of staff about what they wanted. And then, the district office sent out calendars again, because there was some confusion about work days from some of the staff, and the 16th was filled in as a work day. And so we're bringing this forward, and we meet tomorrow, but we're bringing this forward to be able to say, with the calendars that were sent out, we would like the approval for the 16th, but we also know that if PEA comes back and says, heck no, we've got to find another day, then we'll make the adjustment from there. But we wanted to get information out sooner rather than later, so if the board approves this tonight, and PEA says, yes, let's do it, we can get the information out. If PEA says, no, we want to do a survey and look at it another way, we've at least got the if everything's okay, we can go ahead and move forward.
Okay,
And if it's not, we'll bring it back and go from there.
okay,
So I'm just trying to hedge my bets.
all right, no, that's fine, I just wasn't sure that conversation had already taken place or not. But it sounds like it's taking
continues.
place tomorrow.
Well, we started it, and that was when the calendars went back out, and Nicole and Dave said to me, well, but the 16th became a work day, has it been decided? And it was kind of like, I don't know. But, so we went back, and indeed, it had been adjusted when the new calendars were sent out. And so knowing I was meeting with them tomorrow, it was like, let's kind of hit both directions at the same time.
Okay, all right.
So you're asking us to approve the 16th, but shouldn't we wait and make sure
It's a tentative approval, so it can be changed.
because if they say no, then we're back to,
Sure.
Yeah, we're
We're
back to it. My thought, and we could go either way. My thought with that was if it was approved and everything is copacetic with both of our unions, with PEA and OSEA, which it doesn't really impact OSEA, that we would be able to move forward in early January before our board meeting, or before our next board meeting, to be able to get information out to people because it's February, to say, this is what the calendar is.
Yeah.
Rather than waiting until the end of January for a day in mid-February that people may have already planned for.
Okay,
And we are good with the 16th. Dave and I did discuss it, and we had. Our only concern is because there's been a few adjustments with the calendar that's included in that if by chance there's any snow days that do occur, we, with Synergy being extra work that the staff has had to take on this year, we just hope the board would take that into consideration if potential dates are added onto the contract here. So we are good making this adjustment. We just hope that if the possibility arises that snow day does happen after the makeup days occur,
yeah.
that.
Or have forbid we get 6 snow days
Yes.
like we, yeah.
Well,
That we will
hopefully
keep
Mother
that
Nature
in
will be
mind.
nice to us this year.
Yeah, because it's just been a heavy load.
Yeah.
up So that's all we hope that you guys hear.
Yeah.
That's what those makeup days in February is making me so nervous.
Exactly,
Yeah.
it makes us nervous too, so with this being an adjustment, it's like, okay, now things could.
Well, and the big thing with the calendar committee was we were hedging our bets to be able to say February is such an awful month. There's more people that take leave. I still go back to a comic I saw that says February, that 4-month period in between January and March. It just is so long and so dark that we thought, that's the place where if we could put a break, but then we did have the same conversation that said, but if we're gonna have snow days, it's gonna be, that's too soon. And so it's kind of like you catch yourself coming and going.
Where are we, when I was early in my teaching career, when we had snow days, frequently, 1 or 2 of them were just forgiven by the board. Where are we in terms of if we did have, beyond if we put this winter's work day and then we have 2 more makeup days after that in the calendar, what if, say, we had 3 snow days? Are we within our requirements of the state if we were to forgive a day?
If we're hitting instructional minutes, and if we're not, it would mean, submitting a waiver.
Okay, but it just brainstorming.
I mean, there are ways that you can do it. If you needed to be able to do that, if we had to get to a place of, and with a day would be fine with instructional minutes. It would be if it was, if it's a week, we really need to submit the waiver and say, for these reasons, we are not. But there are ways that, we can certainly entertain those things.
Okay. So do I hear a motion?
I have one more question with that.
Okay.
And I don't know if this needs to be added, is the mode, I understand adding the 15th, what Nicole just said though, do we need to take into consideration if there is a snow day, are we going to agree now that like these days forgiven, that way if they're agreeing to the 16th, are we agreeing that there is a snow day that investment need to be made up?
We'll cross that bridge when we get
Because
to
we have
it.
there's two more makeup days
There's
besides
more
that.
days built into the calendar.
Basically, we'd have to have 3 snow days after each.
Yeah, no, I just bring that up, if the teachers are willing to take on the 16, are we gonna then, if they're gonna talk tomorrow, then Susan can say, well, the board, it says that if we do the 16th, there's a.
Well, I think that goes back to kind of the goodwill between, you know, the association and the board, and, you know, we'll cross that bridge when we get to it, if we have to cross that bridge.
It might not be an issue.
Hopefully, like I said, Mother Nature will be nice to us, we won't have to worry about
That
that.
would be
so,
nice.
Okay. Somebody want to make a motion?
Joe made a motion.
Did I? I might have been starting. I might have been starting to, but I don't.
move that we approve, that, and
I'll second.
Okay. It's been moved and seconded to approve the calendar revision. All those in favor? All right, motion passes 5-0. Thanks. Strategic planning contract.
Yeah, Rick and I started engaging in this conversation, I don't know, probably about 6 months ago, just in terms of, we've been thinking about it. We were approached by a group who is supporting a number of districts within the state of Oregon that deal with strategic planning. And it's a little bit more than traditional strategic planning in terms of being able to put something together and the binder sits on a shelf and nobody ever does anything with it. And so it's the notion of this is just one side. It would be a multi-year contract that would allow for help and support in being able to put together the materials, to align goals, to engage employees and stakeholders in informational sessions to gather as much as they can in terms of being able to help us craft the information. I had thought about a strategic plan just in terms of when we get to a space where we can bond again, it would be kind of nice to be able to have what is the facility direction, but also is what is the academic direction that drives what facilities we need to be able to keep us moving into our future. The other piece of that is I'm old. And so it was also kind of like, is there a strategic plan that gets us into bonding, but also gets us into when I decide that it's time for me to run away, which isn't tomorrow, but, given a 5-year plan that also allows for being built into that, what would transition look like at that point in time? What do we have planned for when we want to bond? And having those things together. Also being able to have clear community and staff input, and also measurement for, if we put this in a plan to be able to move forward, let's measure what we said we were going to do, and know if we continue to be on track or know if things need to continue to change. And so Studer has been in conversation with Jennifer and I for probably 4 or 5 months. And we had the information session with Joe and Brian and the company representative. And I shared with you this evening the information of what we're looking at, that their biggest things that they say in that first page of their letter is they want measures, they will help us with measures of student performance, growth, and quality outcomes. So whatever we do is lining in that particular direction. Employee engagement, parent and stakeholder engagement, having performance indicators and using that as an alignment for job functions, for facility plans, for our finance, for all those kinds of things as we continue to move forward. When I talked to our administrative team about looking at strategic planning, the biggest consensus was we can't do it without help. And I don't think we can do it if we have 18 other things going on. And we need that team to be committed to being able to lead the charge. And if we're too busy to be able to have the supports we need in place, then it will become a document that somebody can help us do and sit on a shelf. So really, tonight was being able to open the doors, see what questions are out there, and really about any decision or action, it's really, for me, a three-option request. It's really about, yes, Susan, we think it's a good idea. We approve that you go ahead and continue negotiation conversations with Studer to be able to see what we can negotiate into an agreement with them. I will tell you that it's a multi-year contract that they've asked for. It would be 3.5 years that they want, but it's voidable at any point in time. So if we get to a place after the first year and we're saying this ain't what we bargained for, there's no hold on having to stay with them for 3.5 years. Or if we want to refine the direction to be able to say, we've got this nailed and we really want more here, then we have the opportunity and ability to be able to do that. The second part of that is really to say, Susan Halliday, you're out of your ever-loving mind, forget what you're talking about, and we don't want to do anything. And really the third one is to be able to say, we need more information as a board to even be able to talk about, do we want to move forward with a company like Studer? Do we want to have them here, have a work session with them? So it's kind of like there's three prongs in that, and it could be that even if the board says, yeah, let's move forward with some continued conversations to negotiate a possible agreement, that one of the pieces of that is to be able to have the company here to do a work session with the board as we get closer to being able to make that decision. So really it's more about engaging in a process and continuing to move forward with, locally for our region, Central Wind has been a client of theirs. Corvallis is a client of theirs. Estacada is another who has done some incredible things. Milwaukee?
There was like 15 in Oregon.
Yeah, there's a number of them, and they work across the country. In fact, the representative we've been working with, who resides in Pensacola, Florida, said, text me after your board meeting. It's like, it's gonna be real late for you. So really, it was about being able to more start to expand, and the conversation that Rick and I were engaged in early on was, would it be meaningful for us to do this and be able to have a plan for our bonding, a plan for our staffing moving forward, a plan for when a new superintendent walks in, that there's a pathway, and there's been a pathway, and there's measures, and some things like that. So, it was really about, is it time to be able to do something like that and really align some stars with community and staff input, and inclusive of leadership in the district, but also getting the support we need. Did I miss something, Jennifer? So I'll just be quiet and let people ask us. The other part of that I wanted to let you know is we will not make any agreement with anyone until we know what our state school funding change may look like. So if the board were to say tonight, yes, we support you working on negotiations, it's all about knowing that if we receive no state school fund money, then we're going to have to entertain a conversation about how we afford it if we were to do it. But we're not going to contract and get into any kind of a commitment until we know that there's a resource pool that we can be able to draw from to make it happen. So, we just want to be thoughtful in that way.
So I definitely appreciate the importance of having a strong strategic direction, strategic vision for the district. I must admit, I have a bit of a bias against this organization as I have been through their work in my workplace, and was not left with a great feeling afterward. Different space, not in education, but same company. Very similar language in what we were going through. So I just,
It's all good
I have-
information.
I have reservations.
Okay.
I also am curious if these are services that OSBA has available to us. I know some of it they do, maybe not this full scale and scope. But I know that they can do some of the strategic vision work, goal setting, some of these components. I just don't know that they have it in a, wholesale package like this.
We've talked about OSBA, we've talked about COSA, the school administrators group, because they have some people that have walked through that process before. And so it is certainly something we could explore, to be able to see if that was an avenue, that would be workable also. The struggle, without doing much research yet, was we want more than something that's gonna sit on a shelf. And when our administrator said, we can't hold this heft of our own accord and continue to do everything we're doing, we need some support. So the question would be, which I don't have an answer to yet, is what would be the level of support that we could count on that would either make it more of a lift or doable for us? But it's certainly an option to explore.
In terms of, and I've been thinking about this in terms of a strategic plan, as you pointed out, I think facilities, ultimately with the, potential for a new barn, I think that's one really important part of a long-term strategic plan. I think leadership, in case of getting a new superintendent, and in terms of hiring any level of administration, I think having a longer-term plan, a structured plan for that, I think would be important. I think we could prioritize what we think is the most important things, and then maybe look at, is there a more economical or more efficient way to do that without putting extra work on our district employees? In other words, going to COSA or OSB or something like that, or a more limited version of this. Because, we can do the full-blown plan for everything, which is great, but to start out with, maybe we want to think more limited in scope.
Yep, well, that's why I wanted to bring it forward. Was
What I
to have
liked
the
about this
dialogue.
talk, coming in from somebody coming from the outside, getting community involvement, putting together the plan, the vision, 5 years out, it helps with hiring anybody at any level, anybody applying for a job, looking, here's what the district's after, here's what we're doing. Also, they're doing the annual check-ins, so this company, A company, would do annual check-ins, like here's the objective for the school that we accomplished this year. Then they can report the next year, yes, this happened, here's where we're at. I like the idea of the plan. I think that, like any teacher, superintendent, anybody applying, they know where the direction of the school's headed, everything from class sizes to looking ahead in what the school will look like in 5 years. Facilities is a big one, what we have to repair, where it just helps. It's like operating a business without a plan. You can't do it. You have to have a plan. And if we don't, I think we need a plan. How we get that plan, I don't know how, I don't know any more about that, but everything the guy presented, the plan seems very important.
Yeah, for sure, it's way better to be proactive than reactive. Because you're always just putting out fires and you're just being reactive.
I like the idea of somebody not locally helping with the plan because they're not biased. They come in and look at they have a different perspective. When they engage the community, the businesses, the administrators, everything, they don't have any local biases. They have a different point of view. So I like the idea of somebody not from close by.
Although I feel like somebody that was part of our community might add a different kind of value. I mean, all of us Fulham people know what we want, what we love about Fulham.
For sure, a big part of this though is getting community involved.
That would be good,
That's
because
what-
I'm not sure someone on the East Coast in Florida should be telling us what we.
No,
So they'll have people on site.
they would host, like, they would physically come and host town hall meetings, gather information.
Well, I know in the past, we've had facilities committees do long-range planning and stuff, and, I mean, it all looks good, but like Susan just said, it got put on a shelf, and that's where it died at.
Yeah.
And, you know, that's what I wanna try to keep from happening in the future, is the same thing that we've been doing in the past, and we haven't got anywhere with it, and,
Because we tried to do it in-house, it's like, and everybody has too much on their plate to begin with.
well, yeah,
And then you add something else on top of it, it just sort of gets pushed back and pushed back.
yeah, and
Shove it on the shelf and ignore
I look at this and it's, to me, it's kind of expensive, but if they're gonna do everything that they say that they're gonna do, it may not be as expensive as it would be trying to do it ourselves and come up short on a lot of things. And
Well, I visited Susan after the meeting was over, it probably costs this amount anyway, you just don't know it.
yeah,
So as things, if something, you go down the wrong path and turn around, or the surprise thing you didn't know was coming would have been a lot cheaper if it would have been a bit of preventative maintenance or something. So the cost of their 53,000 a year is probably only a few thousand a year, because there's probably a lot of those costs that are happening, whether they're acknowledged or not.
exactly.
it. And ultimately, if we had to hire somebody to do this just on our own, you know, what they're charging us is less than the salary of a single person probably.
Well, and the way
Hired by the district, so.
that Susan explained it to me, you know, before you guys had your conversation with her, is that, you know, we can kind of pick and choose. If we don't want the whole package, you know, we can cut this number down by just kind of picking and choosing what we want, or we go with the full package and get the whole thing there, so. I would like to, you know, at least keep looking into it, and,
I think it's important, what I agree with you, look into it, I think we also need to have somebody on the outside checking in, or required check-in status reports yearly, that way it doesn't get put on the shelf. If it's somebody, like what they propose as they're doing it, but somebody that checks in, so it can't get started, then just get set to the side.
They have a 90, I mean, they
are,
have quarterly things that they bring in, and from what I help them.
yeah, are we within, the state guidelines on purchasing services? We don't have to go out to bid on something like this? We're okay on that part of it?
I believe so, it's something that,
Well, I'd wanna look at that to make sure.
That was one of my questions. My thought, just based, I mean, if I can just put something out there based on the conversation, it sounds like, if I can do some homework to take a look at some of the pros and cons of some other possibilities and what each might give us or not. And I'm sure people can help, this group can help in terms of, you know, wait a minute, this could be a pro or this could be a con. And, maybe consider a work session in January, to be able to, continue some dialogue with some more answers to some questions, if that's what we want to do. I'm open to that, very definitely.
Has
I
anyone,
see that.
sorry, has anyone spoken to anybody in these other school districts that have used that?
Yeah,
So we've got firsthand accounts and references.
Yep.
Okay.
like, who have completed their contract with them, and it's been a year or two post.
Estacada is a multi-year, and they actually have some pretty amazing things. It's not Milwaukee, it's North Clackamas, that's the one. North Clackamas has finished they have finished their work with them, Central Lynn is embarking on a second year with them, and Corvallis has just gotten started with them. So Central Lynn's year 2 or year 3, I'm not quite sure. Yeah, so, so we do have information. We also know that at the superintendent's conference in later January, it is those 9 principles that were on the flyer, and a book that they have that supports that is going to be the major focus of that particular conference. And so it could be that I will get some more information at that point in time too, that would be beneficial.
Susan, I remember what you told us. I think you told us if we agreed to at least get more information, we could have a work session where you would come back on Zoom.
Yeah, you would join us.
Where then we could talk about picking and choosing and adjusting the prices. So I think what he said when we finished was if we agreed as a board to at least be interested in more information, we could hold a work session, he would Zoom back in and involve the whole board.
Well, I see they're pretty ambitious. They've got on here January 1, 2024 as a start date.
Yeah, well, he knows, he just put something together.
Well, I know, but I just want
Oh, yeah,
to
he's,
bring that to the attention that you know, he's making a lot of assumptions, I think, or whatever, but to get a date like that in there.
he wanted a follow-up meeting with me tomorrow.
Yeah.
I was very impressed with the answers he had. Yes, it costs money, but he had of course, he's selling his program, but he was very knowledgeable, had a lot of information. Like, he wasn't like a salesman, you asked questions and didn't have an answer for it. This is not their first school they've worked with. They've done this a lot. So I appreciated what he had and all.
They are a very, 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 very large corporation, so they have definitely done this a lot in different industries around the country.
Okay.
Which means they also have access to a lot of resources, so, which is helpful, but.
So what I'm getting out of this is you want a year, year from the board to continue looking at this company, or?
It's really about which direction do you want me to set up a work session that takes a look at this company, but in the interim, I will also take a look at OSBA and COSA. I'll have a chance to talk to Erin about her experiences. I'll get a little bit more testimony from some of the people who have completed contract or in process of contract with them, and we can look at some pros and cons. And so I'm real open to that.
The first thing I'd like to do is know whether we're good with going directly with these people, or if we have to put something like this out for bid. I mean, that would be my first question, because then if we have to put it out for bid, obviously we have to, talk to other people, so. I think that'd be a good starting point.
Okay, that ends.
And I think we have to, I guess, vote for, I guess my proposal, I think we need to look in, we need to come up with a strategic plan somehow. So as soon as we're not picking a company or anything else besides, do we have to have a motion and approve? Susan, keep looking, and Susan's gonna get more information with the idea that we wanna look into a plan.
Really, the motion was about if you were to say, let's do this, and let's move ahead, and Susan, we want you to go ahead and negotiate, that would be one thing. But if what I'm hearing says, we'd really like some more information to set up a work session, I don't think we need a motion for that.
No,
We just can move forward.
I think we're just giving the superintendent direction. Sure.
I just wanna make sure we keep moving, that it doesn't get stalled.
No, but
And then just so you know, they did not.
what I'd like to do is just give the superintendent direction on what we want done. We need to check and make sure that we're legit and just going with one, and we don't have to put it out for bid. Talk with OSBA and some other people, and see what's available, and then get back to us after that. So,
Okay.
okay,
I will reach out to those. Thank you. I appreciate the conversation. And
And I always get so concerned about speaking about things like in my own profession versus here, different arm of the company that I've experienced. So this might be
But then
an entirely
education,
different.
But it's
education,
also,
Yeah.
it's also good information, because there are things that
corporate culture and things.
Well, but there's also, products and things that come out that, we expect A and we get B, or we get Z or nothing at all. And, wait a minute, that's not what we thought we were getting. So it's all
Employee
good.
engagement and retention is
Yeah.
something that is like incredibly important to me in my position on the board,
Yeah.
and that would be the largest area of concern post their work.
Okay. So,
Thank you, I appreciate it.
moving on, we'll go to number 4, declaring the newspaper of record. I know you said we don't have to formally vote on this or anything, but, just for transparency and everything, I would like to go ahead and accept the motion if we want to, have Flowood News as our newspaper of record, then it's, a vote of the board to do that.
I would move that we declare the Philomath News the Philomath School District's newspaper of record.
Okay?
I would second that.
Okay, been moved and seconded, any
I have
discussion?
discussion. Brad, are you okay with that?
Yeah.
Okay. I thought we should ask.
Why ask him?
I was screaming.
I just wanted to make sure we're all.
I did ask.
Okay,
Okay.
any more questions? All those in favor? Motion passes 5-0.
Yes.
Okay, now, did we hear back from the city? I can't. see
It
that.
says, there was confusion in it anyway, so you have to get the documents from the surveyor. And the plan on bringing over your map and easements to the January meeting, so he's good with January.
Okay,
And so, I just told him that we wanted to stay on track and didn't want to, hamstring the city.
well, I was trying to stay on their
That's
time.
what I mean, so that's what I told him. And
They-
so,
So we'll postpone it for.
oh, we're good, yeah.
Yeah, okay. So that will be postponed until January, so that'll be a January, agenda item. Number 5, OSBA elections.
Yep, we have,
Not it.
this is, they have had nominations through them. There has been no one that's running for the position 10 candidates for board of directors. There is only one filing for position 10 for the legislative policy committee. That is Sarah Finger McDonald. And our vote, if we choose to do that, just endorses, we give our vote to OSBA to say that we support Sarah to be named to the legislative policy committee.
So does somebody want to do the candidate questionnaire opinion? Well, I guess they do
What about
the
the
policy committee.
What about the 2 resolutions? Do we need to?
And
Well-
if we wanted to put them together, I can share those, but the 2 resolutions are the other piece of the puzzle that we can let OSBA
Yeah,
know
we
about.
can probably do the resolution separate. I'd like to
Okay.
do this one, the policy committee person first, and then, do the resolutions.
Sure.
So does anybody have a motion for,
Do they need the support of only one person running?
we can or can't, it doesn't make any difference. I mean,
I do believe they still have to pass with a certain number of approvals
I
to
don't know what
to
they're,
move into the position, so should they not get any votes, I don't think they would be able to move into the position. I know that's true for the resolutions, I'm not sure if it's true for the policy committee.
I'm fine.
Position.
I'm fine with making a motion to support her.
okay,
I'll second that.
all right, been moved and seconded, all those in favor? Motion passes 5-0 to support Sarah Finger McDonald for the policy committee, legislative policy committee for OSBA.
She will do a good job.
Resolution 1 and resolution 2. Resolution 2 is really long.
Yeah.
Resolution 1, kind of short and sweet, so, everybody's read it, understands it.
I read it.
Resolution,
There's a
resolution,
lot of pages in there.
well, resolution 2 is the one that, I think that
So I have a little bit of background on resolution 1, if that will help.
Sure.
The way it works with OSBA, similar to our group, they're subject to public policy or public meeting policies, all of those same laws that we're governed by. But what they can do is they have their board, like ours, and they can form additional caucuses. And those caucuses do not, if it's an approved caucus, they receive funding from OSBA to do work in their field. This one is a rural caucus, so it's representing rural school districts. And there would be opportunity for people within those rural districts to join the caucus. I believe it is a vote similar to the legislative policy committee, but I'm a little fuzzy on whether it's a vote or an appointment. But the idea is that they're gonna take the voice of rural school districts to more of a state level with OSBA's work through legislative sessions, as well as educational sessions, how they form, what they think is important to work on each year. Just making sure that those rural districts are represented, because the larger school districts have more people allowed on the boards. So, you know, the largest school districts have 5 people, and our school district would have, or, you know, our side school district would have 1. So it's to help support. They have done a tremendous amount of work to get to this point, so they had to be an advisory council for a minimum of 12 months. I think they did it for closer to 2 years, really getting work, talking to other rural, or, you know, communicating throughout the state. So I personally find it a deep benefit to our district. But they do have to pass with a majority of all the school districts in OSBA school districts, in order to have it turn into a caucus.
Which is probably more rural districts than there are large districts where the representation is small.
Yes, that's
Yes.
it.
Absolutely.
And the rural school districts are, there's things that they have to meet to be a rural school district.
Yes.
You know, as far as enrollment and stuff, we're kind of on the border, whether we qualify or not,
Yes, they have it.
with our size.
I just felt my eyes get older as I was trying to read this. Yeah, and it is pulled, in the drafted byline, or bylaws.
Yeah, but I know a couple of years ago, I think it was, I went to that, deal at the OSBA convention for the rural schools and sat in on their presentation. And I thought it'd be a good thing for our district, you know, to give us a little bit of help.
It's, population density of less than 200 people per square mile and/or total school district population less than 20,000 people.
Yeah,
So,
so I think we qualify.
Yeah, we're in.
Yeah.
At least that was the
that
last word.
population density one, you know,
Oh,
we creep closer and closer, but I think we're
Yeah.
still.
But I think we would qualify for that, so. All right, so that covers resolution 1. Now the second resolution, the long one.
And really what it is was the information in resolution 2 is,
An update.
if you read the first page, it talks about the very first part of it, it talks about what in the bylaws have been updated.
Yeah.
What the attachment is the whole series of bylaws.
Yeah.
And so it's really just looking at what are those things that have shifted that are in that first page, more than anything else.
Yeah, the actual changes are pretty minimal. It's
Yeah, they are.
actually referential language around caucuses and then updating, to mention mail-in ballot instead of in-person voting and things like that.
So,
Any reason we wouldn't vote for either of these?
None that I can come with.
not that I-
That's sort of my
And I do read all of the words of both of them.
I
I-
did
Probably
not,
why my
I'd
eyes
rather-
stopped working this
yeah,
I did not read the entire second, I would say.
No, I
But
would
you probably
support,
have read it before.
I would support that work. You know, they've got different caucuses that have really managed in that first one, to really get some voices heard, that it's important to be heard.
Yeah.
And the second one is really just bringing us into, the current times with language and things like that, and being able to make sure there are no substantive changes in the bylaws that would alter the whole structure of how things work.
So, okay, all here, need a motion for resolution 1 and 2.
I would move that we, go for or in favor of resolution 1 and 2, OSBA.
I was second.
Second
I'll
was the
second.
second one. All right. Been moved and seconded. All those in favor? Okay, motion passes 5-0.
Thank you, I'll make sure that I communicate with, OSBA and take care of it on behalf.
And nobody wants to,
Like State Jefferson.
nobody wants to throw their hat in for Board of Directors position 10.
Not it.
No.
Sandra, you got a yes or you got a no?
No, thank you. No.
I considered it, and then I looked at my calendar and I was like,
No, I'm not even gonna try. So we are going to table, move number 1 back to after number 5, but we are gonna table number 1 and then bring it back in January.
Yeah, Chris texted and said that they would be ready in January.
Okay, so next meeting, agenda items, that will be
Further discussion about, comprehensive plan?
yes,
possibly a work session.
Possibly.
yeah.
Susan, you said that there was like facility stuff that's just put on a shelf. Is that information something that needs to come out and go over at some point, or does the facilities committee, is there anything that needs to, in the process of doing a strategic plan, is something you need to look at that, is there something that needs to be addressed, or?
And that's what we'll need to take a look at, what is it that's sitting, or what is it that's there that could be beneficial and be useful.
How long is it?
Yeah, and I think we need to take everything we've got, that is in existence already to be able to, move it forward and either say, that was great and let's get rid of it, or, by golly, we thought we lost this and we really need it. So I think it does need to inform our work in whatever we've got.
Okay,
So next month, can we talk about, the bids on the Clemens outdoor facility, because by then they'll be closed, correct?
Is it close tomorrow?
Monday.
You know, it's really busy.
Hopefully somebody bids.
Got a lot of interest, so.
Yeah, we did, that was awesome.
Good.
okay.
How many showed up?
8 or 9 companies showed up.
Oh, you did. Oh, wow. That's good.
Good.
Previously encouraging.
Okay, is there anything else that we should go on the agenda that we didn't present right now? Okay, board thanks.
Well, I want to thank everyone always, but it sounds like we're a little over a third of the way through the school year, based on the high school trimester having ended. I definitely want to thank everyone who supports our seniors as they're starting their college applications or finishing up and hearing back from their early admissions applications. And we get the emails from one person as parents, but I know that there are a lot of people behind the emails around scholarship updates and what's available and where to find your resources and, oh, the FAFSA has been delayed yet again. And those communications are really important, especially for the families who don't have that college-going experience to rely on their memories of how they went about doing it. So I'm very appreciative of that. And then forevermore, the performing and fine arts instructors, volunteers, families, participants. There's beautiful science behind the arts supporting wellness and mental health, so I love that we support that in our district. That's my little.
Add on to yours, I would like to, I'll always state my appreciation to the teachers, the administrators, staff that write letters of recommendation for those seniors.
Yes.
Whether they're applying to a college or a trade school or whatever, but the fact because that takes extra time away from their lesson planning and grading and everything else, and they do it out of, love of those students, and they do a great job, and a lot of those kids wouldn't get where they're going without that, so
Absolutely.
appreciate that.
Anybody else? So I'm just gonna say, thanks for everybody in the district, like I always do.
Yeah.
Of course.
Takes everybody to run this district. I did make it out to the Blodgett program tonight. Wonderful, wonderful little program they had out there. And thanks to everybody who made that happen, whether it's parents, staff, community members. A wonderful little program that they have, so. And I'm sure all the rest of them in the district have been good, but I haven't been able to make them, so.
They've been great, they've been great.
I would add one more thing tonight. I was at the middle school site council meeting this afternoon. We're looking for, for their brainstorming a book fair kind of thing, but not scholastic, because I don't know, we had this discussion here on the board before, but the fact that, anyway, there's a lot of reasons why you probably don't want to go with scholastic or something like that, having to do with equity, the fact that rich kids can get light books and the poor kids can't, and there's a whole lot of things going on. They are looking at possible ways to get more books into kids' hands without having to make the parents pay for them. Well, it's not really paid, so I'm very impressed with the way this council works at the middle school.
An idea that might help would be maybe reaching out to the library, the Friends of the Library.
Yeah,
because they
that was
get
mentioned.
so many book donations.
Yeah, that was mentioned. Trying to figure out ways to get new books to kids though, so they're not all used.
Yeah.
And that's, the Friends of the Library tend to be used with, a lot of them are in great shape, but not all of them, so. It's that idea of the pride of having a new book to be able to read and break one. So, but I just thought I'd mention that.
Okay.
I don't want to come across that I'm not thankful. I'm thankful for so much.
Yeah.
I'm thankful for so much, and I'm especially thankful for the folks that, raise our kids, and I say our, meaning we're a village. And I think it's great when people are coming together, working together for the better of the kids, and it makes me thankful.
Well, I can't be the left one left out. Mr. Meeker does a great job with little kids. We went to 2 of the performances at the elementary school. It must be, it's hard to get all the little kids on track to the performances, and they came out great, so. Thanks to him for his work.
Pretty magical.
Okay. Any board requests? I guess we'll turn the meeting.
I can't even imagine trying to coordinate. There's no way I was ever going to be an elementary teacher.
What's the difference between
Just maturity.
I was gonna say, you get to yes, I have an
Fifth graders are still pretty advanced. What's that?
So I'm taking a week and a half.
Good for you.
I need it.
Well, then you deserve it.